These are 6-year-olds, and within just 1 hour, they know more about how Bitcoin works and where it came from than a sitting US congressman.
I don't believe that Satoshi Nakamoto was innovative.
They might even know more about Bitcoin than you. What do you think about Bitcoin?
I have no idea, and I think it's just whatever.
Bitcoin, I heard about its cryptocurrency.
Bitcoin is super made up, like it's just like doesn't exist before.
I don't know how it works, so I don't really care.
Do you know who created it?
No.
No.
I probably can't say.
Some guy in his mom's basement.
Do you know how many there are?
No.
How many Bitcoins?
A lot.
A lot?
It's a lot.
Too many to count.
Honestly, it's not my industry and I don't know much about it.
Do you think that we should know, or do you think it's okay we just use them?
We should know.
It all begs an important question. Have we been learning about Bitcoin the wrong way?
How many times have you suddenly started to hear people talk about these Bitcoins?
It doesn't produce anything. You can stare at it all day and no little Bitcoins come out or anything like that.
I give my real dollars to Bitcoin and I establish a Bitcoin virtual currency account. That's how it works. What? What the f?
Now, I can't provide you with all the answers in this one video, but what I can tell you is learning about Bitcoin isn't as complicated as you've been led to believe, and these kids might just be the proof. All right, so where to begin? The year was 2008.
The iPhone 3G.
Yes, we can. This could be the most serious recession in decades.
An anonymous person by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto slides into the DMs of a group of notable computer scientists with a seminal document called the Bitcoin White Paper. Over the next 2 years, this group of scientists and cypherpunks ponder the implications of this Bitcoin protocol, fixing bugs, making nicer logos, and paying tens of thousands of Bitcoin to each other for real-world goods and services, which in hindsight made for some very expensive pizzas and used cars. And that's where the first challenge begins to emerge. Bitcoin is an open source technology, and with that initially came no manuals, YouTube tutorials, and certainly no marketing team. And as word of this new monetary technology made its way into the world, a lot of the early responses to it looked and sounded like this.
I don't know what to do exactly with Bitcoin, and they don't look a bit like these coins. Matter of fact, they're kind of in the Ethernet. What are they?
Bitcoin.
Bitcoins. Bitcoin.
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 The year is 2023. Today, tens of millions of people across the world store their wealth in Bitcoin. If Bitcoiners formed their own country, they'd have the 18th largest currency in the world. A country even did make Bitcoin an official currency, and many more are talking about doing the same thing. But you wouldn't know that if you asked most adults in North America, because unfortunately, many of us are jaded about it.
Now, Bitcoin has crashed by 21% over the past week.
Would you describe it as a Ponzi scheme?
Yes, it's a Ponzi scheme.
Bitcoin will go to zero in a microsecond. Whoop, like that.
Okay, so what role do kids have in any of this? Kids haven't been bombarded by years of talking heads trying to figure it out on air. They haven't had to deal with the equivocation of Bitcoin to the rest of the fraud-ridden crypto industry. But maybe most importantly, they aren't as cynical about technology like many of us can be. They're just curious. And that curiosity is exactly what has ushered in a wave of Bitcoin educational media and books like SHAMory that take the most seemingly complex elements of Bitcoin's technology and turn them into something as simple as storybooks and card games.
You know, for our parenting philosophy, one thing that we've held really strong to from the very beginning is that we do talk to our daughter about these types of, you could call them adult concepts if you want to, but about money. And we've been talking to her about Bitcoin and about money since she was as little as she can remember, with the hopes that it's not this big, scary adult-like thing.
But come on, is it really that easy to teach Bitcoin? Bitcoin is blockchains, ledgers, difficulty adjustments, mempools, Satoshi, white papers, block rewards, nonsense mining. It's a lot. So to see if it was really that easy, I put an ad on Facebook, got 4 kids and their parents, as well as one of Canada's top Bitcoin educators, to see if they could emerge knowing more about Bitcoin through bedtime stories and card games than the dozens of people I casually interviewed in downtown Vancouver. All right, Seb, what are we doing today?
Teaching kids about Bitcoin. Our educational system misses one of the most foundational components of our environment, which is our money and how we interact with each other. Sound, solid reliable money is so important because I think it underpins everything that we face in society. In a system that can teach people about the importance of money, I think it's going to be a system that allows people to find themselves, to find their authentic selves, to be able to interact with one another in a way that our current system, I think, masks and hides.
I love that. Before getting into Bitcoin, I just wanted to figure out where people were on the topic of money. This money, and where it even comes from, literally.
I think money was created, I think it was created like something in the 19th or 18th. Maybe it falls out of the sky.
Money comes from if your tooth come out, and then fairy can, like, give you some money. I think money comes from a bank.
But do you know the answer? Well, what do you, I would like to know.
We can only theorize where money, the first forms of money came from, but the first forms that I believe, if you read a lot of the history books, they talk about Mesopotamia. And so that's kind of like 6,000 to 8,000 years ago. And a lot of those were like clay ledgers. And people have found these clay ledgers, which are like 6,000 to 8,000 years old, that show the exchange. And money back then isn't what we think of it as today, like coins and notes. Many times it's just a ledger or a record of exchanges.
As both the kids and adults asked questions to Seb, it made me realize just how little about money we really are taught at any age. Everyone was so curious about things like the properties of money, how governments create and issue it, where inflation comes from. We could have spent the whole time talking about that before even touching on Bitcoin. But compared to the fiat money we use today, the origin of Bitcoin is actually a lot easier to explain.
With math on their side, they knew it could happen. And in January 2009, the first Bitcoin blocks were stacking. What's really cool about this is Satoshi, who is the founder of Bitcoin, nobody knows who he is, and he disappeared. So we don't even know where he is in real life. He's gone.
That's not why he's real.
You don't think he's real?
No, I think he was a person, but he just created this, like a story.
So he created the money and then just disappeared.
Of the many complexities in Bitcoin's design, understanding how new Bitcoins enter circulation is probably one of the most challenging. You've likely heard of Bitcoin mining and the warehouses full of machinery that come with it, but what these machines are actually doing to create new Bitcoin is kind of hard to visualize. Imagine each of the kids here at the table is a Bitcoin miner. No, the other sort of miner. And in order to find new Bitcoin, they have to find a nonce or a match to a target. So the way that Bitcoin works is that every time you make a match, you create something called a block. And a block is essentially a record. The first block is called the Genesis block. It's the first one. It's like Genesis is like the beginning. You see how they kind of like connect here on a chain?
Oh yeah!
So this is called a blockchain. And the more matches you find, the more Bitcoin you get. And whoever has the most Bitcoin wins.
But how does the attack happen?
I'll show you how the attack happens. So what happens is that every turn, you roll a die. If you roll too many red guys, they are making their own chain. When they have more of them than yours, it's called a 51% attack, because they have more than 50% of the blocks. And if their chain gets longer than the yellow chain, the whole game restarts.
I'll try to do this on purpose.
So, you kind of understand the rules?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yep.
Okay. So, we'll
But
go in a circle.
something that you can't do.
After a few warm-up rounds, the kids were mining, earning Bitcoin, and having a blast. I was honestly shocked at how quick they understood the rules of the game, and ergo Bitcoin, in such a short period of time. We even pitted the kids versus the adults for a few rounds, and while they didn't beat the adults, they were damn close.
So how does it feel to be a Bitcoin billionaire?
Oh my god. Hi, mommy.
Was it fun? Did you like it?
Yes, that was really fun.
Did you play it again?
Yes, actually I will.
Do you feel like you learned anything about Bitcoin?
Yes, so much. Now, I first was on YouTube, I was like, this doesn't exist. There's no way this exists. And then I learned today, Bitcoins are actually really good. And then, yeah, in the end of the day, it's good.
While wrapping up, I realized something about Bitcoin. See, I've been teaching Bitcoin through videos and tutorials for almost 3 years now. Also, smash that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. But as it inevitably becomes a discussion topic with every new person I meet, I keep running into the same challenge. Either their view of Bitcoin or money is rigid and unchangeable, or they're just overwhelmed by the entire premise of it.
I honestly think it's for people who are in the topic, who are in this field, you know?
What is money?
You know, money, the talk of money, it's something that makes people really uncomfortable. And I don't know why that is, but it seems like it's an overwhelming topic, you know, even within relationships or even within small, you know, close networks of friends. It seems like something that you're taught like you don't want to talk about.
But if I could get 4 kids who I had never met before interested in Bitcoin and educated on it in less than an hour, why was I having so much trouble with everyone else? And that's when I realized the key to understanding Bitcoin isn't to become some sort of computer wizard or investor. The key is simply becoming a child again. Children possess 2 amazing qualities that we tend to lose as we grow older: curiosity and humility. As we grow into the world around us, we tend to lose our sense of wonderment and interest in learning. We put ourselves into echo chambers, surrounding ourselves with people whose ideas or knowledge sets don't challenge us frequently enough. And as a result, we also tend to think we know everything the older and more experienced that we get. To truly understand Bitcoin, you have to throw away that framework and almost become childlike. Ask questions, read books, watch videos, challenge yourself and your beliefs, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. And that message also applies to the already minted Bitcoiners. Look, I get it, it's been what, like 14 years? Some of us are tired of explaining Bitcoin.
Why don't you break this down simply for people like me that don't fully understand it?
Okay. Sure.
While this first wave of Bitcoiners was built atop mountains of podcasts and conferences, those alone won't be able to reach and educate the billions of people out there who still want and need Bitcoin education. Right now, there are hundreds of entrepreneurs, organizers, artists, and content creators risking everything to teach the world about Bitcoin and the evolution of money in new and innovative ways. Video games, cartoons, storybooks, travel documentaries, trading cards, the list is endless. So if you're tired of explaining Bitcoin at family dinners, that's okay. You can support those who aren't tired, because we will bring Bitcoin to the next generation. And speaking of which, I'd like to give a big thanks to Scott and Mallory Sibley, and Charlotte, of course, for sending me copies of SHAMory and for helping to cover some of the many resources that went into the making of this video. Videos like this take hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars to produce directly from my own pocket. So if you enjoyed this one and want to be a part of helping me to make my next one, please share this video and consider donating some Bitcoin to the addresses here. Alternatively, if you want to get some of these SHAMory products featured in this video and support my channel, you can use the referral link in the description of this video. Thank you again so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Do you feel like you learned something about Bitcoin?
Not really, but literally, I think so, yeah.